Oh, hi, everybody. Good evening. I hope everyone is doing fine and well. And I want to thank you also for each one of you for spending your evening here with us. I just took a quick snap of the poll. I think tonight we are in very good hands actually for most of you. Yeah, so let me start, as we begin tonight, we want to begin to explore why do we need to plan and what do we need to do to plan for ourselves individually and as a couple. So allow me first to introduce myself. My name is Too Lee Soong. My last name is Too, so feel free to call me Too, as everyone who knows me has been calling me Too. All right, I've worked in the financial industry for over 25 years, beginning as an underwriter in an insurance company and moving on to trade financial futures for a bank in Cymex. I'm not sure how many of you would know Cymex is. This is our Singapore Future Exchange. And finally, I work in GIC for 21 years trading equities and derivatives. I was posted to London in 2006 to trade in the European markets. I began to be interested to find out what was there, to find out more about what's the purpose of money and why do I need to manage money. Probably I think I've been dealing with so much of my company's money that I began to question why and what money is all about. I'm sure probably maybe some of you may also have begun to ask about your own job, your purpose of why and what you're doing after working for a few years. This, I think, is actually a beginning of finding what's your passion and calling. I'm also grateful and thankful for this time tonight. Yeah, so let us, as I share, I also want to kind of show you, just some examples, through my experience. And that, for the opportunity when I was working in this financial industry, how it allows me to experience and see how money can be so powerful that can draw so many industry to go all out to make more money because they see others are making more than they do. So also in the course of my work, knowingly, unknowingly, I'm seeing many people beginning to allow themselves to define their self-worth and their being. They allow money to define their self-worth and their being. Let me show you one example. I took it from a movie, Wall Street. Let me show you a clip where how it illustrates, the people who are working in the financial industry, what drives them, especially money. You listen to me, you will play it. Yeah, listen to the speech that this Gecko, this is a guy, he's an investment banker, specializes in buying and selling companies. Listen to his speech, and then you can pick up what's the driving force behind it. Me, you can play.
The new law of evolution in corporate America seems to be survival of the unfittest. Well, in my book, you either do it right or you get eliminated. In the last 7 deals that I've been involved with, there were 2.5 million stockholders who have made a pre-tax profit of $12 billion. Thank you. I am not a destroyer of companies. I am a liberator of them. The point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms. Greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind, and greed, you mark my words, will not only save Teldar Paper, but that other malfunctioning corporation called the USA. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Let me play among the stars.
All right. I'm not sure how many of you have watched this movie. Actually, it's made during 1987. It's made 1987. It's so, you look at it, it's almost like 33 years from now already. And I think probably at least, maybe I guess, looking at the profile, probably 10% of you might have watched it. The rest of you who love old movie may have watched it. But what I'm trying to emphasize here was actually listen that what Gecko, this is the guy who says US is really prevalent. They say greed is good. This is actually happening. And 33 years back, and now actually it's still happening. And then this is how major banks shape thinking and mindsets of those who are working in there. They keep wanting more, believing that greed is good. That is their motivation. That is the driver. I'm sorry, I'm not sure how many of you do actually work in the financial industry, but it's really a good point to kind of reflect back. So after my return from my London posting, back in Singapore, I was introduced and got involved with Blessed Grace Social Services. It's a Singapore social work who helps individuals and families who got into financial problems because of gambling and misuse of their money. Here I come across another group of people who already wasn't earning much, but were trying to make more money for themselves and their family. However, some were lured into gambling and they were caught by the destructive power of money. And it really caused much misery to themselves and their families. Let me show you now, me will play also, there are some of this testimony. They tell their stories, after they've been caught, what is it like?
以前刚开始是赌那个外汇啦，后来就赌马啦，赌蛮久了，好几年了。阿龙啦、玛丽莲的啦，都签了，跌了3次了，一次清，第一次清了，我太太帮我清了，清了，又过了1、2个月，又再回去，又再赌咯，又是输又是借了，本来是不需要借那么多，可是因为你借一个还一个，就越盖越多了，就是没办法了。
About 25 years of gambling in this election, so we're in a cycle of debt issue over again, and during that, of course, the pain and agony caused a family will be time and over again. It comes back again.
我是结婚之后才知道他在外面有欠债的问题，所以就很无助。怎么发现他欠债？是我之前有看到他有一张欠债的借据已经 clear 了，我那时候有质问，但是就不知道原来后面还有这么多的那个故事。
我跟他在一起10年了，我不知道他是赌徒啦。不过过了跟他结婚的过后10年，我才发觉到他是小赌了，因为越赌越大，越赌越大啦，赌到去跳楼了。然后那时候我很烦恼啊，每天都哭，也不敢跟家人讲，天天都是流泪了，流到几10年这样哦。后来有一天跳楼了之后，然后他们打这个蒙恩的电话。
Okay, yep. I hope you have seen this, and these are real stories actually. I do meet up with them, and I do a conversation with them, and these are the real stories of their life. Especially if you listen, especially for the wife, you hear that that more often than not they say they do not know that their husband has been involved in gambling or that they were owing. So tonight, our goals tonight, you see, so we could see that money can actually be very powerful, and if we do not manage money well, we allow it, money will begin to manage us. So our goals for tonight is actually to highlight to you the importance of managing money and understand how money can influence relationships if it's not managed properly. Also, we want to help you to be aware and realize that each of us have our own financial management practices or habits that can affect our relationship with our spouses. So it is important to begin working on a financial plan together that will help strengthen your relationship. Else, both of you may be drawn apart because of money. So let us start with money. I'm sure most of you have been using it. Have you thought much about it besides spending it? When it comes to money, it all begins with the individual, you and me. All of us had the experience of handling money, and it is good to reflect on what money means to us. See, for money during the olden days, before money were even created, people began exchanging one another by barter trade, like a cow for 2 sheep or 10 chickens, according to what they need at that particular time. It may not be the best way to value their goods, so that's why money was created. Money was created so that to serve as a medium of exchange and as a store of value that keeps its value. So you can see money is used as a tool for our living and pays for what we need. It is very neutral. As money can also be a store of value, many begin to learn and find out the many ways of getting more money, but forgetting to learn how to handle money. Look at the last point of the slide. I learned this from one of my mentors. His name is Benny Ong. He's 73 years old. He runs a financial advisory firm, and he also wrote a book titled How Much Money is Enough. He says, a lot of people think that money will solve problems. But if we can't handle money, it will also add to your problems. How true it is. So let us be mindful and keep that in mind for our own reflection. All right, so Benny also shared with me many stories that he personally encountered and how he has seen many who have much money mishandled them and lost them and brought much sorrow to themselves and their families. I do continue to catch up with him and learn from him. Remember, he's already 73, so I thought I'd better learn from him now, And he always reminds me that financial health of a person does not depend on the money he earns or the asset he has, but on how he uses or manages it. So I'm always keen to speak and learn from my trusted friends the wisdom of handling and using money. You realize that our approach is about learning to manage and use what little we have first, so that when we have much, we have the wisdom to know how to handle and manage the money. Not the other way around, which is so common these days, as many are teaching how to make more money when they are still not able to manage what they have. What do I mean? I'm referring to those who are earning an income now, yet they are still in the state of being in debt or overspending. And they are trying and wanting to make more money now to help them pay up and solve their problems. Do you think they will eventually learn how to manage? No, they're only learning how to solve their current problems, and it will be a matter of time before they will need to borrow more again just to feed their overspending or their losses. This group is usually a good target for those quick rich schemes where they need to pay cost fees, hopefully to learn how to make more money quickly when they've not yet learned how to manage what little they have. The focus for us should not be just wanting to make more now and not learning to manage the more money you may have as you have planned for your financial future. See, so it's very important. In fact, our focus should be about learning how to manage our financial future. The more money that we will plan that we want to have. So this is what we should be doing. Be the master of your money. Question to ask, are you the master over your money, or has money become your master? How does money become your master? When you do not have plans or control over how money has been used, You're not aware that your current spending could have exceeded your current income and is already eating into your current savings. You may not even have any savings, and so you are so far a master of none. Also, you could be spending in credit or in debt. Actually, credit and debt, they're actually the same. What it means that you still owe the bank. Credit just make it sound better than that. Beware of the marketing tactics of bank encouraging you to go into credit with them. You're actually in debt with them. When money is your master, you'll find you don't have the choice to choose how to plan and spend, and you'll be restricted by what you owe. Especially so if you owe something that you have not paid for because you cannot afford it at that particular time. This is overspending. It's very common these days for overspending on your credit card. So there's no running away because you have just given control of your money to someone else, and that person will be coming to get it back from you. Remember the video in the Blessed Grace video that we've watched? You don't want the sharks to come after you. So right now, it's good to take a pause right now, and I want to see if anybody has any question at this point of time. Anybody? Nope. I'm just looking at the poll earlier. I could see that quite a few of you, oh yes, almost half you are married, about 40%, and the other are engaged or preparing to get married. That's great. Yeah. So, and wow, we have a young group, and I love to speak to young groups actually. Yeah. Okay, so if there's no further question, I'll move on. So it really boils down to me and you to learn to manage money. As we handle money, we need to continue to pick up the knowledge, skills, experience, and the right attitude to improve our financial awareness and abilities. There are a few questions that I've listed for our own reflection. As I move along questions, I want I want us to ponder over the questions just to have an awareness about ourselves and us, why we do what we do and why we don't do it. Like, do you set financial goals? I see like about, the poll was like about 33%. It's like, do you live within your means? This, I liked the response. It's like almost 70% of you say yes. How's your financial wealth? What's your experience and attitude towards money? What are your expectations, your priorities, your preferences, lifestyle patterns? How do you make choices and decisions in money? Because we all have different preferences, motivations, goals that influence our view of money. Reflect upon them. Pen it down, because this is the beginning of understanding your own financial behavior and awareness of your own values, your own preferences, your motivation, which will influence your views of money and how we use it. As a couple, right now we have to address, as a couple, you can share with one another for better understanding of each other. Why? Because we each have our own growing up experience in our family and how our parents, siblings view of money, and as we see them, we may have learned how they use and handle money, their habits, their preference, and how we are taught will have an influence on our views and choice of handling money. So the reason why I want us to reflect and begin to understand ourselves better is because now, at this stage of your life, after you're married, or those who are preparing to get married, it is no longer just you, but your spouses will also come into the picture. Two shall become one, and need to understand that we each will carry with us our own understanding of values, of preferences, habits, motivations, expectations, lifestyles into marriage and family. So for those who are already married or are preparing for marriage, you remember the vows you both have taken, are going to take. This is one example. So for so and so, right? But point I want to zoom into is when you are for the richer and for poorer. This is a vow that you made, all right? Until death do us apart, for richer, for poorer. You both are married to each other and you have chosen to commit to each other for richer and for poorer. Surely both of you would want to choose and set the goal for the richer marriage life together. Richer marriage is not necessarily just about having money to make your marriage rich or happy. I'm sure you have learned from me or during your marriage prep class what makes a rich or happy marriage. I would say able to provide for each other basic needs is one major factor. So both of you will want to set goals together to work together toward what it means for both of you for the richer. Of course, the vows you have committed is also for the poorer. If and when for whatever reason, out of your control and plans, you are to live with a lower standard of living than you were before, you still want to live in a relationship rich with love, joy, peace, and hope. So the question is, why many fail in managing money? The first will be the failure to set goals. We'll look more into this point later, and also refusal to acknowledge what is your needs and wants. We'll also discuss this in a while. All right, also point 2 will be unwise and excessive borrowing, ignorance about investment products and instruments, and finally, getting the wrong advice. The point is when you fail to manage money, you begin to find both of you, I mean the couple, right, questioning each other. How come money is being spent here or there, and why is there always not enough, or where did all the money go? These are just some reasons, question that, and there could be more reasons you may find as each one of you handles money differently, because each one of us has a different growing up experience. Some questions you may also want to ask each other as a couple could be like, why we fail to set goals? Why we refuse to distinguish needs and wants? No time to discuss, too busy, don't know how to start. So let us make a start. Remember, managing money together takes commitment and communications. It's a trust of each other. The process of this financial planning begins with, if you want to have a good start, it takes commitment and honest communication. We want to bring our money into our control, and to do that, we must start to do financial planning as a couple. Open up your books to each other. As a couple, it takes commitment and trust to work it out. This is the time when both of you must really communicate your goals and how to go about doing it to achieve what you have planned for. It's no longer just you, but the two of you together. This is the time you plan for richer, and even at times for poorer, but because both of you have set out to work on a goal together, you find yourself, as you get away from this poorer situation, you find the process and journey you went through together is actually a very rich experience, because you sat down together to plan for it, how to get out of this situation, and that will strengthen your relationship together. So here's the process that you begin with in your financial planning. We'll run through each point in the following slides. The point to remember here that it takes commitment and communications from both of you. This, you see, this is the addition from our earlier slide. Before that was just you, and now it's you and your spouse. So what we are trying to achieve here is that as a couple, we want to be the joint master of money, and we do not allow money to be the master of the family. If you're not careful, money can be your third party in your marriage when it's not handled properly. How is it like? Similarly, just when you are single, when both of you could have overspent or in debt, and each month you have to focus on repaying the debt, and other demands for money may come in, and you find that you don't have enough money to pay or spend, and begin to ask each other for money and so on, and soon money dominates your relationship. It invokes an emotion within you, and you may begin to withdraw yourself to escape the questioning, or you'll find every time the topic of money, when it's being brought up, there'll be disagreement or arguments. Does that sound like a third party? Or when one party loves money so much that he or she neglects the other party or family because the mindset of greed is good has set in? Does that sound like a third party? These are the signs for us to watch out for. So we start with our financial goals. Asking always, what would you like to achieve together? Because goals give us direction for reaching larger purposes. Goals direct the use of your resources and your spending. Goals reduce uncertainty and give guidance for saying yes, no, and maybe even not now. So you and your spouse are the best judge of your own resources to achieve the goals that you desire, rather than what others have chosen for you. So remember that. That is very important. Of course, next we have our, in terms of financial goals, we also have these SMART goals. I'm sure probably in school, you guys probably have learned it so often. Just a reminder again, SMART goals is specific, manageable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. So it's like, you know, you have a specific goals, holiday. It'll be a short-term goal, buying a property, a long-term goal. What's the due date? Set a date there. What are informations, resources, and money needed? Who else to contact or seek advice? It's very important. Always seek advice from a trusted friend or a trusted professional. And finally, how to measure your progress. When it comes to planning, reason why we need to plan, because if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. You can't go anywhere unless you know where to go. A financial plan is like a roadmap. Drop a budget together. That's a plan. Here, I want to emphasize that, you know, this budget, why we want to drop a budget together, this budget is really a tool. It's a conversation piece for both of you to decide and plan and where and when, what you want to do with it. I'm sure me would have sent you all the spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet. It's pretty comprehensive spreadsheet. I'm not sure how many of you have done it individually or the best as a couple. Maybe we want to, maybe me, do you want to bring that up? I hope most of you have actually kind of put this up. Take a look. It's done by a friend. He's a very detailed guy. So you could see there's the many columns and the lines are all clearly defined. So it's really very helpful, you know, in terms of when you come to financial planning and doing up a budget. Reason again, this budget is always make use as a tool, because it's just, this is one spreadsheet. When you put it down, two of you can come together. It kind of forces both of you as a couple to come down and to work on it together. And that's where the conversation will begin. And, and that's where you start to be honest to each other. You begin to plan for at least the basic needs to be met. When that's been taken care, you allow yourself more time or even more choices to work on other things that you value, like your own personal dreams. Talk to each other about it. That is what I find is really useful about budget, using a budget spreadsheet. Not for anything else, except it really brings two of you together just to sit down. It's like almost a homework, but this is a project. It's like a team project, just two of you putting it down, putting the numbers down. All right. I hope if some of you who have done it, that'll be great, because, you know, as you go through together, you would have the experience, you know, the process journey, you know, what is it like as two of you come in to kind of do up a budget together? How was the conversation, you know, you recall, how was the conversation like, you know, and versus if you have done it on your own? Because I do see some of you, not many of you does budgeting. Yeah. So if individually you've not done it, I'm not sure as a couple, you know, when you do it, you'll be quite experienced. So it's something, it's really a good learning tool to come together. All right. Thanks, Mi. Okay. So that's why I mentioned earlier, budget release allows both of you to decide how, where, and when you should channel your resources to achieve your goals, to help you track how both of your income are being spent and saved. Income, if you take away a spending, savings is a discipline that allows us to take control over money. So set aside savings first. So next, as you drop a budget, this is a time where you learn about each other's handling habits, like I mentioned earlier. Find out each other's existing financial commitment. This is very important. This is a time, like I say, just open up your books, because like from the video you see, you could hear from the young wife that he said she wasn't even aware in the first place that, you know, the husband was involved in gambling, or that he actually had some debt even before they got married. So this is time really to be honest and open up to each other about what's your existing financial commitments. Work out both your money income, list down all your expenses, record your spending, especially seasonal expenses like birthdays, celebration, and festive season. Decision making. It's all about how much of your income to set aside, because you see that life is about choices. Bad choices have negative consequences, and good choices have positive effects. So what do we need and what do we want? Set up the budget for the expenses. Distinguish your needs and wants. Satisfy your needs first and weigh your wants against future needs. Take for example, like let's say for those who are already married, you know, when you plan to have a kid, are you planning to save for your child's education instead of saving for, say, a sports car? Pretty extreme, but it just kind of brings out the point about needs and wants. So this will need to be a joint decision. So one of you can actually take up the role of managing, updating the spreadsheet, and monitor the account, so that you know exactly what is the role, what is your role, and what is the other party's role. And of course, I have put here there's this joint account. I see like there are about 40% of you does have joint account, you know. So it's something for you all to decide about joint account. One thing I like about joint account, you know, for myself, let's say, you know, for me and my wife, for the joint account, I find it's very useful. Is in a sense, it's just like also like a budget spreadsheet for a joint account, because when it's a joint account, both parties get to see the movement of the money. So each party can ask questions, can kind of identify, oh, how come this amount of money was being taken off? How come so much money was brought in? So it does have, you know, this effect of, it's like doing a budgeting together, such that, you know, it gives two of you joint decision, and also a good time just to have a conversation, to ask question. It's not about pinpointing. That's why this communication process is so important. It's not about pinpointing fault, but it's just both parties coming together, able to kind of make sure that you are on track to what you have planned according to your financial goals. Also, the decision making for big ticket items. So you need to a lot of discussion, more time and information gathering before commitment, like how much to borrow, for what purposes. Always remember to seek the advice of trusted friends or advisor who are experienced and willing to give you a balanced view. And also, I mean, for my own personal experience, I would say it's always in terms of debt repayment expenses. I usually try to make it should not exceed more than 30% of a total household income. Reason being that I always think it's consideration, assuming both parties are working, you have two income, I always assume if one party was laid off or for whatever reason, and one party do not have an income anymore, your debt becomes double, 60%. It's like, this is a point that with that one party who is left bearing the expenses, can he do it? So I would usually kind of like to keep it to not to exceed more than 30%, right? Total household income. So also right sizing, determine where both of you are at this stage of life. It's like buying a property. Anyway, I understand there will be a session for you on buying a property, a trusted friend of ours, so hear him out. All right. And also set aside 6 times of your monthly expenses. Money expenses, because this again, this is to prepare in the event if one of both parties have either lost a job or do not have an income. 6 times is always quite a safe level, although current situation right now these days, all thanks to our government, they have kind of pumped in at least 3 to 6 months, they are paying the salary. But if it's on a normal times, do allow yourself 6 times of your money expenses, because you really do not know how the economy is like, during the time when you want to look for another job or when you have lost your job. This is something that I pick up during this COVID-19 period. It's very interesting. It says the virus does not move. People move it, which is so true, right? We stop moving, the virus stops moving. The virus dies, it's that simple. So just looking at it, it's just a virus. We people actually moves money, because as we stop moving, like stop buying, money stops moving. It stays in your account. In economics, actually, the health of economy increases with the velocity of money. That means the speed of the turnaround of money. Marketers actually love to move your money around, except returning it back to you. Check out the online stores and they will always tell you what you're missing out on something. So many a time, we find that we buy because we see others have it, or so that others can see it. If we stop and we don't see it or desire it, we stop wanting to buy. Like the sports car example, for the size of our country, for the kind of roads that we have, actually for one to buy a sports car is actually, I think, it's just something that it derives so much satisfaction, of wanting people to hear it or see this sports car on the road. All right, that's my own personal opinion, actually. All right, so we move on. Implementing. After the decision making, we implement it. This is a point of you getting into doing it and maintain this process, like how often to update the budget spreadsheet. Remember, you're in one team, for richer, for poorer. So it is a team effort. Again, I have to emphasize, it really takes commitment, communication, and trust. So that when whatever is written down, you can see it every day. to work on it, so that at the same time, you know, once you have your role and responsibilities set out, you know, you can actually kind of check back with each other. It is a discipline, actually. It is a discipline to achieve this dream and accomplish your goal. So set up a routine. Set up a routine to practice and communicate regularly. This will effect a change from what you have learned. All right, and finally, the last step in the process is evaluating it. So agree to set aside time to evaluate progress. Remember, it is your goals that you have set out to achieve together. You own them and you want them, not for others, but for your own family. So every time, if there's small wins, set a time to celebrate it, encourage one another, because it takes practice and perseverance. Look for progress, not perfection. Evaluate, clarify which goals are more important as you move on. If something that you find is too rigid, feel free to allow for room for adjustments. So it's really, two of you must really set aside time together to evaluate. Right, next, these are some of the important points that I believe that, you know, it's really so important for personally, you know, also as a family to note. The first is to spend below your means. And I'm very heartened. I see almost like 70% of you have said that you have been spending below your means. That's great. That's wonderful, right? So keep that up, and we're going to work, you know. Also, let's hear it from the other 30% actually. Also, the other thing is avoid buying on credit. Maintain little or better no debt. Set a goal to pay off debt. It's very important. And then for protection needs, this is where, you know, when you have, before you're married, you have your own insurance need as an individual. Now that with a family, with your spouse, that's where you plan either for your life, for your medical insurance and home protection needs. Speak to a few trusted insurance professional, meaning they are not just salesmen, right? But professional, where they can help you to find the best products that suit your needs and budget. All right. And on savings versus investing, it does seem like investing is quite a big topic, you know, because I see almost like 74% of you, they indicate you have some investments actually. So like I say, investing is a big point. So for investing, I want to say that many have actually asked me about wanting to invest. So when they come to me, they say they would like to invest, I will usually run through with them first what we've gone through earlier in those slides. Like, do you have a budget? What's your budgeting like? What are your goals? You have savings of at least 6 times of your expenses. You have excesses over, or can you afford to lose some or even to lose all of what you're going to put in your investment? How much you can afford to lose? These are some of the questions I will usually ask. Because there are many causes out there now, or even advisors will be promoting about making your money work harder. They'll give you the hope that you can make it if you follow their steps. It often comes across to me that they do not emphasize losses, though they will put it in a very small print. Why is it so? Because for most of us who have the experience of investing in the financial markets, we know we all have suffered losses before. And it is through these losses that we wise up and understand ourselves a little better, how we handle money and investing it. You must ensure that you can take the losses and not be in the situation where your finances fall below what your goals you have set. Like even like having enough for your own family expenses, maintaining the 6 times savings, and making sure that, you know, that you're able to progress your other goals that you've set together with your spouse. So my question will always, I'll ask the person that, are you prepared for that? Because also investing, you must be prepared to answer questions from your spouse. or your trusted friends, or even advisors, but most importantly, your spouse. Because when you're holding a losing position, usually you don't feel good. I don't feel good. Who likes to lose, right? However, you must allow yourself to be questioned. That's when you will find clarity in the situation you are in. Because even in the banks that we work in, all traders are subjected to questioning because the bosses need to understand and find out what plans do you have to help turn it around. Else you have to cut losses. You cut loss to live another day. So from the video, you have heard that the spouse, from the Blessed Grace video earlier, that the spouse of a family do not even know that their husband has been gambling. So very often I do hear that from sharing, when they make money, they make sure the family will enjoy gains by having a good meal in restaurants and go shopping. However, when they are losing, they usually keep quiet. They do not share with anybody, and they hope the situation will get better. And that's where they find themselves falling deeper, because as they try to get out using short-term solutions like borrowing from friends, banks, money lender, and worst of all, to loan sharks. That is what we do not want. All right, so that is what I will mention about investing. It's a big topic. I think usually the interest in it, we can probably kind of work out, or I could see if there are some questions I could answer maybe later on. All right. And so finally, as I round up, I want to remind ourselves to remember when we make the vow, what we're saying is that we believe in lifelong marriage and shared decision based on mutual consent. Believe that you are in a great marriage as you handle day-to-day finances, which requires trust, commitment, and communication. So, just like your vow says, till death do us apart. So don't allow money to set you apart. Thank you. That's the end of my sharing. Thank you.
Yeah. So with that, we really want to thank you and have a good evening ahead. Yeah. And God
Thank
bless.
you, everyone. Thank you.